big boom that shook Lower Merion, an update on parking at Harriton, and Heard It in Y'all Season 3. That's all right now, live from the Harriton High School television studio in Rosemont, Pennsylvania. This is the Ram Report with Emily Wright and Michael.
Hello, I'm Michael Ithan,
along with Emily Wright,
for today's REM report. Some of you may recall that 1 month ago, on November 4th, an unoccupied house exploded in Gladwin. It was reported that the sound could be heard all the way in New Jersey. HarritonTV reporters Sam Catania and Max Harris quickly went to the scene and conducted a live stream with footage from the event on the night of the explosion. We now turn to Max Harris for a full report on the story.
What started off as a normal night in Lower Merion Township, Pennsylvania, turned out to be an explosive evening. This surveillance camera footage captures the moment when a house in Gladwin, Pennsylvania exploded, shaking neighborhoods as far away as southern New Jersey. The explosion occurred on Dottie Lane off of Old Gulf Road. When we arrived at the scene, several first responder vehicles were already there, examining the area. Soon, the Philadelphia Electric Company, PECO, arrived at the scene to shut down the gas line that was deemed responsible for the catastrophic explosion. As other news networks began arriving, we moved up the street to try and get a closer look at the house. Unfortunately, first responders had blocked off the house from public access until the gas line was secured for safety reasons. This photo, taken by the Lower Merion Fire Department, shows the devastation brought upon the suburban home. The house in question has been undergoing serious renovations and was unoccupied at the time of the explosion. The house was listed for sale earlier this year at a price of $1.8 million. Thankfully, nobody was injured in this explosion. This event does, however, serve as a great reminder for everyone to check their gas lines and make sure to report any possible leaks. Signing off for HarritonTV, I am Max Harris.
For more information on the story, Sam's live stream and Max's video can be found on YouTube and on HarritonTV's Facebook. In more recent news, many of you may have noticed that there are a large number of juniors who park on North Ithan Avenue every morning. HarritonTV's Sam Catania investigated both the cause of the parking as well as the measures taken by the school and the township to address it. We now turn to Sam Catania in the studio for a full update on Harriton parking. Sam?
Thanks, Emily. So, as many of you may have noticed, there are about 25 cars that are parking at the base of Harriton High School every morning on North Ithan Avenue. Those 25 cars are occupied like juniors, myself included, and we're parking there because there is no more space in the Harriton parking lot. According to Harriton Athletics Director and Administrator Mr. Ferguson, 60 more seniors bought parking passes this year than last year, meaning that there's simply not enough space for any juniors to get parking passes. So a total of about 40 students in between those 25 cars are getting to school every day and parking on North Ithan. Recently, this came into question because the Lower Merion Police Committee recommended to the Board of Commissioners that they pass an ordinance banning parking on North Ithan Avenue. The school district did not initiate this change according to the township and the school district, and it was made as an independent decision by the police force. So the police force sent a task force to observe the parking on North Ithan, and they discovered a few interesting things. So Evan, I'm going to ask you to roll that video now. And so one of the things you can see is here is that a few people made illegal U-turns on the road, and these U-turns can cause a little bit of a holdup in the traffic. They can make parking a lot slower for students, and as you can see here, it just causes a little bit of a traffic jam. Another one of the reasons cited was when it starts to snow, students will be forced to walk on the road, and this could cause a lot more traffic too if you have students walking on the road and not on the grass. So those were two major concerns raised by the township, and because of that reason, they're recommending banning parking on all of North Ithan, both sides of it, all the way down the stretch, so nowhere near Harriton would be available to park, and this would mean that juniors wouldn't be able to drive to school. In terms of when this decision will actually be made, the decision is up for vote on December 19th by the Lower Merion Township Board of Commissioners. That will take place at 7 p.m. at the Township Building. which is the same building as the police station, but a separate section of it. And the Board of Commissioners, which is comprised of 14 residents and members, will take a vote then on this ordinance. If any students are interested in speaking, each resident is entitled to 3 minutes of public comment about the event, and student voices could potentially sway the opinion of the Board of Commissioners if there is enough support. Otherwise, it is almost certain that this ordinance will pass given the endorsement of the Police Committee. That's all from me. Now back to the news desk.
Thanks, Sam. The Harriton Music Department is showcasing Harriton Symphony Orchestra and Band concert tonight at 7 p.m. here at Harriton. The night will be featuring selections from Finlandia, Romeo and Juliet, and much more. Harriton's Chamber String Ensemble will also be performing. We'll have updates from the performance airing next week, though we encourage the Harriton community to attend this event tonight.
For an overview of sports updates related to our local and national community, we now turn to Eli Feldman for a sports update in the studio. Eli? Indeed.
Hi, welcome to Sports in the Studio. I'm your host, Eli Feldman. For Harriton Sports, the Harriton LM boys varsity squash team beat Lawrenceville by a score of 5-4. Shout out to Grant Stevens for defeating the Lawrenceville players to win the match. Both the boys and girls basketball varsity teams will open their season on Friday, with the boys playing Sun Valley and the girls playing Upper Merion Area High School. For local sports, the Eagles pulled out a solid win against the Washington Redskins by a score of 28-13. The Redskins were down to their third-string quarterback, Mark Sanchez, a former backup for the Eagles, but still, a win is a win. On Monday, the Phillies shook up their roster by trading for Mariners shortstop Gene Segura, a two-time All-Star, by giving up first baseman Carlos Santana and shortstop J.P. Crawford. This move likely opens up room for left fielder Rhys Hoskins to move back to his natural position of first base. The Phillies have also been reported to be on the hunt for a big-name starting left-handed pitcher. So far, they have inquired the San Francisco Giants about starting lefty Madison Bumgarner and the Houston Astros about starting lefty Dallas Keuchel. The Sixers have reported that guard Markelle Fultz has visited a shoulder specialist that he was scheduled to see to address his nagging shoulder problem. The report stated that he has nerve issues in his right shoulder and is expected to miss 3 to 4 weeks recovery. Meanwhile, the Sixers have flourished without him, climbing up to second in the Eastern Conference. They play the Toronto Raptors tonight, who are right now first in the Eastern Conference. The Flyers are introducing their new general manager, Chuck Fletcher, today after firing previous manager Ron Hextall last week. This has been Eli with Sports. Back to the news desk.
Thanks, Eli. To conclude our show, we have a segment of Goldie Beck and Neha Danwada's Heard It in the Hall. This segment pertains to the student body's thoughts on Harriton's beloved mascot, the Ram. We now turn to episode 3 of Heard It in the Hall with Goldie Beck and Neha Danwada.
I tried to show 'em.
It's Heard It in the Hall. I'm Goldie Beck.
And I'm Neha Danwada.
Today we're going around the halls of Harriton High School asking students if they'd like to change their beloved mascot. Let's see what they say. If you could change the mascot, what would you change it to?
A donkey.
I'll fix my hair first.
Yeah.
A pelican.
A better ram. So you're saying our ram is a good
The goat.
We need the goat.
A guinea. It's a really lanky person that
A bigger ram?
A cow. An okapi. A butterfly.
Yeah, I'd have to pick a skeleton. They're pretty spooky, and October never dies, so I think a skeleton would be an ideal mascot for Harriton.
Ferg.
Ferg?
Ferg.
What would you change it
An owl.
a lion.
to? A lion?
Tiger.
A seagull.
Oh my god, you messed it up. You were supposed to say bear.
No, I mean, I might change it to, like, I don't know, something different from a ram. I mean, I got none right now.
Change it to Fletcher. Fletcher would be our mascot. That face.
Personally, I feel like... Yeah, hold it up to my mouth. A giant statue of Ben Feldman.
I like pandas.
A shark.
The David Lesser. Now let me tell you why.
David Lesser's a very hype man, a very funny guy, and he would really bring a lot of Harriton school spirit. I think I vote for David Lesser. David Lesser is my mascot.
Thank you, sir. How about you?
I changed it to Brian David Lesser.
Okay, bye.
Thanks, Goldie and Neha. That'll be all for today's Ram Report. Signing off, this is Emily Wright.
And Michael DeBoutone.
From all of us here at Harriton TV, thanks for watching the Ram Report.